don't think most people would have any real idea of what it's like being a sheriff day to day. And it's I always describe it as death by a thousand cuts. Leadership matters, but what also matters is that individual that's with you. And some things you can control and some things you can't. If you're not failing, you're just not trying. And dealing with those insecurities and anxieties helps so much, because they don't know what they don't know. And just a good word goes a long way.
Founded in 1989, HMN Architects is a well-established firm based out of the Kansas City metro. HMN was formed with the intent of developing a first-tier architectural firm dedicated to the Midwest region, predominantly serving the Kansas and Missouri markets. We provide full architectural, interior design, and planning services. With 8 licensed architects and 6 interior designers, we have a talented staff group that has shared experience in designing jails, courts, sheriff's offices, and other justice-related buildings. HMN Architects offers services at any stage, from facility assessments, space need assessments, cost estimating, and pre-referendum services to construction documents that can be sent to a contractor for pricing. We are ready to tailor our processes to meet your project goals. We also engage with a select group of consultants, such as structural, civil, and MEP engineers on our justice projects. Our shared team experience is important to our efficiency and the quality of our work. HMN Architects is committed to delivering a hands-on experience during all phases of design to help transform space and create a better built environment.
Roye Cole, Webster County. Man, excited to have you on the Sheriff's Talk. How you doing today?
Doing well, doing good.
We're here. We're excited. We're looking forward to this podcast. We drove about an hour and a half from the last one. So make sure we got here. It was very nice.
Yeah,
we actually stopped
across the street.
We
today.
Yeah, we did. And we actually stopped at the Buc-ee's. It was Will's first time.
Yeah.
He was very confused and lost. He was like, "I've never seen anything like this before."
It's quite a
I
convenience
can
store.
buy a shirt on one end, and I can get a drink on the other end, and maybe a sandwich in the middle, and
Or
people
kitchen-
watch everywhere
kitchen
else.
decorations right in the middle of it.
You're right.
Yeah. So we're here. We're in your county. What do you want to talk about today? Besides Buc-ee's, of course.
Anything you guys want to talk about? Shoot, I don't know. There's probably a lot to go over, lot to consider. I don't know where to start. You told me you were going to ask that question, what, 5 minutes ago?
Yeah,
And
that's
I'm
the
like,
point.
Wait a minute, I didn't know that I wanted to talk about anything per se. I thought I was going to answer a question.
No,
you gotta.
Yeah, part of the Sheriff's Talk is that's we love the dynamic side of it, because
Right.
if we give you too many scripted questions, then it's not as fun.
Sure.
Like how do you? I mean, I'm not media relations or nothing like that. I'm not a reporter, so even if you gave me scripted questions, I would fail. Like I would be fired. They're like, you asked 2 questions, the other 8 you forgot. I was like, yeah, that sounds like something Michael would do. So let's talk about You've been a sheriff for how long now?
17 years.
17 years. So were you working for Webster County?
No.
So tell me, how does that come about?
Well, I was actually a juvenile officer in Marshfield, over here across the street, in the old courthouse, and the juvenile office was kind of on the first floor. So my introduction to Webster County, which I'd lived in the county my whole life, but I lived down in Rogersville and didn't know a lot about the county seat and things like that I've learned later that are pretty important, but just things I didn't quite know growing up. But the career started when I was 16, just as like a police cadet, and really just enjoyed that experience. It was just fun. It was interesting. It was just around my little hometown of Rogersville. And then when I turned 18, of course I built furniture out of school, and then to pay for college, I started working at Drury University as a security guard. They ended up, when you work for them, they pay for your schooling.
Okay.
So I needed a way for me and my wife at the time to get through school. So as a security guard, did that for, I guess, probably 4 years, and then did my undergrad in psychology and criminology, and then later went back and did my master's in business. And then she did hers in communication, but at the same time, they sent me through what was the 470 back then. You know, I don't know what it is now, 1,000 hours. That was the police academy.
Okay.
Yeah, well, back then it was 470. I remember the guys before I said like 180 or 130 or something. It gets higher and higher, and I can't remember the number.
I think it's
Every
700
few
hours,
years,
something like that.
every
yeah.
few years they throw in a few more 100 hours, but it was the 470 then. So they sent me through the academy, and then as soon as I graduated that, I started working for Greene County just as a reserve, just a volunteer on Fridays. And then the door opened up to come work over here in the courthouse as a juvenile officer. Well, at the time I had been doing youth ministry stuff and coaching sports. So that was just kind of a natural fit, and I love kids. So like if like some kid walked in here, I'd start rolling around and acting silly, and always let them punch me in the stomach, see how hard they can hit. And, it was a good fit for me. So I did that for probably 4 years, and 2008 we had like 10 people run, and I decided to run, and there were 10 of us on there, and was elected. Been serving ever since.
2000, yeah, that is actually a pretty big ticket. Is that common for that? Like, what is the normal number for like a race like that?
Well,
10 sounds like a lot. I don't know, especially for county.
no, there were a
service.
lot of people on the ballot. I've been very blessed since, and never had an opponent since.
Wow.
So you work very hard, and try to prepare for those things, and you cross your fingers and hope you don't have one. It takes a year out of your time if you do.
Yeah.
That's harder to do your job and provide the service if you're worried about an election. So I've been very blessed. I'm actually surprised in some ways how unpolitical sheriff's offices are. It's the opposite of what it seems like. The day-to-day politics are actually a lot less than what I imagined it would be when I got elected. But there's an accountability piece to a sheriff's office that kind of takes away from a lot of the inter-office politics. You know where the buck stops, and so it just kind of gets rid of all the, well, he said this and she said this, and you kind of know where to go to get answers. And so that's one of the first things I did was make sure I had an open door policy. So any of my staff can question, we want people to follow the chain of command, but every once in a while there's a time or place where you just need a straight answer. And when they know they can get that, I just think it kind of lowers the pressure a little bit, and lowers some of the anxiety, so they can just know what's what. So.
Yeah.
But since 2000, so I guess 17 years I've done that.
Yeah, that's some time. Now you said prior to getting into like even being a cadet, you built furniture.
Yeah, I did that right out of high school.
Right out of high school. So are you like a hunter or camping? Are you into any of that?
Yeah, me and my sons and my daughter, when I can trick her into it, we enjoy deer hunting mostly and fishing. So good. I don't know, those are some of the best memories.
So
I don't know if your camera can see the pictures or not, but
we'll
they're all
take some
beside me if you pan the camera later.
So you said you kind of outdoorsman, kind of. Okay. So I have a question for you.
There's no right or wrong.
There's no right or wrong.
Can't wait for this.
Yes. Are you on social media much or not really?
No, not at all.
Okay, good. That's even better. Good.
Not at all.
So, if there was a fight between one gorilla
Mm-hmm.
and 100 men,
Yeah.
who are you taking? No weapons.
Well, I don't know. That's a tough one. I've been asked that. I've been asked that. I would think the 100 men would eventually win, but that would be there'd be a few guys tore up before that happened. there'd be a lot of hurt people before that gorilla went down.
So what do you think? How many humans do you think, or how many men would die before they probably defeated this gorilla?
I don't know. I've never had to fight one.
Thank God, right?
I don't know. I'm gonna make some stupid guess. I have no idea.
Well, the reason I ask that because I think about leadership and I think
Are
about
these committed humans or
You pick them.
Yeah.
We'll let you pick the
Yeah,
100.
I don't know. It'd take a lot.
Gorillas are pretty strong.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably there's everybody starts off. Some people say, "Hey, first 5 men will get them. Other people say, hey, 50. Other people say, hey, that gorilla's killing everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a gorilla at least kills at least 5 out there.
I don't know anything about the cardio of a gorilla. I know they got muscles all day long.
Yeah, that's what I said. They're breaking a few necks down the way.
Oh yeah,
I don't know
they're
how
putting
long
hurting
this
on
goes.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true though. Yeah, and then we talk about stamina and stuff. So the reason I bring that up because we talk about leadership when we talk about 17 years. It takes a lot to be at the highest level of leadership, especially in an organization like a sheriff's office.
Sure.
You have a lot of things. So for you, how have you been able to manage like some of the everyday life that goes on as a sheriff, whether it's home stuff, work stuff? Like how does that work from your level?
Oh boy.
Almost like the gorillas.
Yeah.
Right. How do you tackle those?
Well, one at a time. You know, that's probably one of the toughest things. I mean, you mentioned earlier just the before we were off camera, you were talking about basically how we take care of everybody else first, and we kind of neglect ourselves. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. I don't think most people would have any real idea of what it's like being a sheriff day to day. And it's I always describe it as death by 1,000 cuts. Everybody's emergency to them is their most important thing of that day. And you may be working something pretty major, but to them, it may just be an animal out, it may be some trash thing, but to them that matters, and your response to that matters. And if you don't take it serious, they come up with conclusions, either you don't like them or you're not taking your job serious or whatever. So you have to take all of those things knowing in their mind that's the most important thing to them. And so you have to juggle that kind of pressure while you're trying to get your kids a bath or get them off of their games or whatever. And I would basically be the first to be like, I dropped the ball a lot. Right? With 3 kids and just a lot of different things I'm juggling. The whole time my kids were growing up, I coached all their sports, right? So,
And that probably keeps you busy in itself.
and that's something you can't do unless you have good parents and assistant coaches, because there are games where I got to leave and I got to go to work, and so it's like you drop the ball there, but you have a team built there. That unit's going to function without you for a little while. And so I feel like in my life, I basically have teams set up everywhere. If I can't get my daughter picked up from school one day, I've got a good family system that can help do that. Or if I'm, if for some reason something happens to me and I can't be at the office one day, I've got a good team here. So I feel like so much about being the sheriff is you are basically constantly building teams and putting that puzzle together so that it performs to the highest possible ability, and it has the ability to basically bring life to itself, and you get the job done. So
it's tough. And how do you so it sounds like you're a systems kind of person, like you have systems in place, people, like how do you start forming systems? Because over 17 years, that's a long span, especially because you started 27, if we calculate the numbers right, 17 years minus 44. I mean, I think.
Which question are you asking?
No, I'm saying like you've done it for a while. So how did you build some of these teams? Like how does that work? Like do the teams just show up, or do you have to make an effort?
You have to be mission driven. So you always have to focus on the mission and the end goal to start with. But in reality, knowing that, you're making one decision at a time. The most important thing you do is who you hire, who you put out there with you, because I'm leadership matters, but what also matters is that individual that's with you. And some things you can control and some things you can't. And having good people goes a long, long way. And I feel extremely blessed that in my circles, both, whether it be at home in the family or here at work or, on the field or whatever, I've just been very blessed with really good people around me. So how you build that is, making sure they know that they're a person first to you.
That's good.
Making sure they can hold you accountable. I think one of the most important things that my staff, if done in a respectful and polite way, can flat tell me how they feel, right? So if they want to, I've never punished anybody, and I'm going to give them ideas. I've never punished an employee for coming up and saying, you're wrong, you're flat wrong, and I think this and this and this. Nobody's ever gotten in trouble for that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I'm no good without them. Their opinions matter. They're building the team as well. And so I try to be very approachable. I try to make sure that anytime I have to discipline somebody, people know it's coming from a good place. I use my own mistakes and failures to relate so they can understand, hey, I'm not trying to pretend I'm perfect or I do everything right. I wouldn't try to convince anybody of that. Actually, as a matter of fact, here's how I messed up. This is why I messed up. This is the environment that I created or allowed myself to get into cause that mistake. You haven't made that mistake yet. Why don't you check your environment? Why don't you, and just use it as a tool. And what I have found, people like that. People know who you are, the good and the bad, and it kind of helps them have an appreciation for what you've been through and what you're doing, and it helps them see what you're trying to do for them. And so those things are really important. And the other thing is just being accessible. I mean, not just to your staff, but to your community. I think everybody in this county has my cell phone, right? Like this ain't one of those deals where, can we get to the sheriff? I have literally every phone call that I've ever received in 17 years in the office, I have a piece of paper and time that I called them back. And 17 years worth of accountability, and they've all got my cell. And nobody's ever been reprimanded for telling me how they feel, and I'll listen to them. I was in a trial last week, and this lady just let me have it. She was so upset based on where I had sat in the courtroom. I'm not kidding. And she let me have it, and she wanted to get all the down and dirty about how she felt about me and yada yada yada. And I sat there and took, when you're in a public place, sat there and took it. And I just said, well, you've spoke, and I heard you. Is there anything else you want me to know? Just like, I wasn't gonna win her over.
Right.
Oh yeah, no matter what you said.
She had a loved one that was getting in real big trouble, and she wasn't happy about the fact that we didn't see eye to eye on that. So, but I don't know. That's try to do it. Try to use the principles that I was taught growing up and focus on those. I try to focus on the principles as much as the people.
Yeah, and I know we talked about it before. As far as at the sheriff's level, it is about the people, and when you have the right people around you, it makes all the other parts easy, because we all go through stuff.
Right.
Like we all have our failures. We all have things that we don't want to be involved in, but based on, especially at y'all's levels, you definitely in a lot more than the average person. So having teams around is good. I know we're talking about something with other sheriffs before, as far as it came to kind of like building teams.
Yeah. And I think it all boils down to the human aspect, right? How many times have you heard somebody say, well, they don't care about me because I'm just a number with large agencies? And I think we have the ability to kind of change that dynamic and lead from a human component first, and then the team builds itself with your guidance, because as you described all that, for me, I'm like, man, you're mentoring, you're guiding, you're providing direction, you're leading. Yeah. I mean, you're doing everything that most people want, even if it's learning a lesson from a mistake that they made. And I think there's so much value in being able to create an environment or allow an environment to exist where people can fail softly, and then you're there to pick them up. Yeah. And they learn from it.
Yeah, I give these talks when they start, and one of them is basically, if you're not failing, you're just not trying. And like, we just kind of have that talk to begin with. Like, you're not going to get fired for failing around here. You'll get fired for lying or some type of maliciousness or gross negligence. You'll get fired for certain reasons, but what you'll never get in trouble for is failing or making a mistake. Like, that just simply won't happen. So, you have to correct it somehow, some way. But that may just be a talk. I mean, it just.
Yeah, but I think that talk goes so far because you're building trust.
Right.
You're building.
And they have context.
Yes.
Because what I've learned as much as anything is things are different. The life that my jailers live is different than what my patrolmen live. And what my patrolmen live is different than my investigators, which is different than my bailiffs, which is different than my admin staff, which is different than my SRO staff. They all see different parts of this same puzzle. And when you talk to them, they get context. And the ones that see you the least generally have the most anxiety. Yeah. The ones that are around you the most during the day, and they've seen you lose your temper, or they've seen you know how you feel about this situation or that situation. But the ones, I always feel terrible for the guys on overnight shift, because it's like the insecurity takes over. Like, oh, the rest of them are talking about me and yada yada yada. And they see you and you smile at them, like, oh, maybe I'm not in trouble. And then I used to get
he actually talked
with
me in the hallway.
The guy that's my captain now, I would walk by, and if I was distracted on the phone and I didn't say hi to him, well, it would just go around the office, and I was pissed. I wasn't pissed at anything, I was just distracted, but they would read into me and think, oh, he didn't say hi, and he's always very friendly, so he must be really upset. It was like, no, I was just thinking about something, sorry,
I was in the zone.
Yeah, and dealing with those insecurities and anxieties helps so much, because they just don't they don't know what they don't know, and just a good word goes a long way.
Yeah, and everyone's different too. There are people who you have to be very direct with them. They're like, Roger that, moving on.
Right,
And
yeah.
then there's some people, when you have that same level of directness,
Yeah.
they're just like, what did I do?
Yeah.
Why is he talking to me like that?
Yeah, that too goes into those arguments where, you have different people need different things to be motivated, and so you try to take that into account. But then if you don't treat them exactly the same, then somebody else perceives it as some type of favoritism, and you're just like, man, I'm trying to do what's best for all of us here, but because different people have different motivations, and you have to understand what those motivations are to do the right thing. But their perception from the outside is, there's either they don't like him or there's favoritism or whatever. It's like, you got to find a way to weather those and communicate through those.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of balancing going on.
It is.
Because you're balancing your organization operationally
Right.
and administratively, but you're
Yeah.
also having to manage or navigate. How many people do you have total?
About 60.
60 different personalities.
Right.
And then you have everything going on at, perhaps the state level, national level, everything
Right.
else that you're involved in. But then you have the community, then you have your family.
Right.
You're wearing so many different hats. How do you balance that?
Oh, we're on camera, so I won't make the normal joke that I make. No, how do you balance that? I think some days it's like whack-a-mole. Other days it's like one issue takes, balance is a key word, but our environments often dictate what our focus is going to be. So you really have to find a way to force yourself to stay healthy and to think clear, which can be pretty challenging when it's coming from so many different directions at the same time.
So staying healthy, so one question that is always in my mind, because I ask myself this, so I'll pass it on to you. How do you unplug?
Well, I'm not maybe the one to ask for that. Honestly, when my kids were playing sports, I really enjoyed just going to coaching. I just was able to get into a different competition, exercise, and it was fun. But you know how it is coaching sports. Sometimes you got to deal with parents that are giving you a hard time too. And
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
gosh.
Right.
Yeah, you're definitely doing some
so it's
damage.
like,
Trying to
so
relax.
that's like, there was always a little bit of stress with that, but it was a different kind of stress, and it was good. But it was, I really appreciated youth sports growing up. That was a lot of fun. The occasional hunting trip, but probably what helps me more than anything else, and this is so silly, but it's, man, if I could just do that right now, go work on the yard. I just love tinkering around the house, tinkering around the farm. Got a little 20 acres, and I just love working on that stuff, so that's kind of how I unplug and just focus.
20 acres. That doesn't sound like a little bit to me. I live in a city area and I have like 0.15, and I'm upset about that. You're talking about 20 acres. I'm at by 0.15 acres.
Well, if
I'm
you
like,
run some animals on 20 acres, you realize you're a lot smaller than the people that are having big farms, which is nothing less profitable and more cost expensive than trying to run a little farm. Like,
So I guess a different
you're not
way-
going to make any money on that.
Yeah. So a different way, I guess, rather than saying unplug, like how do you refill your batteries to keep doing what you're doing? Because you're a busy man.
Yeah.
Tinker around, do the yard. But
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. Not very good about getting proper sleep the way I should. So, but I have taken on recently, as silly as it is, just walking. So just walk
Yes.
long ways. So just many miles as I can get in the time allotted. So
I try to walk.
I enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, I try to walk 5 miles every morning before work.
Right.
And that gives me an opportunity to kind of get my head straight before I get to work, because
Right.
once you get to work, sheriff. Everyone's
Yeah.
wanting to have like that little piece of the pie of time that you have available, and so it helps me reflect. It helps me kind of get set for the day,
Mhm.
and I tell you, I only started walking like that 3 months ago,
Yeah.
if that, and it's been a game changer for me.
Yeah. Sorry, the phone is going
Oh,
again.
no,
you're good.
I think I've taken what, 6 while we're sitting
yeah,
here?
no, hey, that's the life of a sheriff. This is
That's
real.
right.
This is the real part
Yeah.
of it.
No, that's how it is. So. No, and you're always so happy. I'm always so happy when my cell phone battery dies. Most people are like, oh, I gotta plug my phone up. I'm just like, my cell phone battery dies. I'm like so happy.
You're like, oh shucks.
I was like, oh, I got like 30 minutes of nobody's gonna call me. So,
It's never that easy. But I think what you don't realize, and you may realize this over 17 years, when it comes to unplugging or kind of pulling away, a lot of sheriffs do struggle with that. a lot of sheriffs because of what Will described
Everything's an
earlier.
emergency.
Yeah, but like he said, all the things he described, you all deal with. It's all of that.
Right.
So you're not the first sheriff to say, "Hey, it's not as easy as the books say it is,
Right.
or as easy as some professor could tell you. It's actually a lot of work to do, and it impacts all parts of your life."
Yeah,
It's-
it does too.
It's almost like you can't relax to relax.
Right.
Yeah,
No, it's like
Yeah.
let your guard down.
Yeah, I mean, because even I find myself, and let me know if this is true for you too, that even when I try to relax, I'm still worried about everything that is happening on emails, cell phone message, text messages that I'm missing, calls, and stuff like that. And I know that when I finally get back to my phone after, let's just say, 4 hours, I know there's going to be so many things that I'm going to have to deal with. Is that true for you?
Oh yeah, that's absolutely true. I guess maybe one thing I did do was I did cut out social media. I found that took so much time. It made me very powerful because I had so many friends. I could correct a record on this and that and whatever in just a matter of seconds. And I used to do that quite a bit. And then when I got off of it, there was just this breathing room. Everybody still got my cell phone number, so it's still doing that. And then life tends to equal out one way or another, so I'm still very busy all the time. But that was one way that really did. My staff runs all that stuff, and I don't even see it. So
What did it feel like when you just said, "I'm done with this"?
well, it wasn't a single moment, and I'll go back to it one day. But it was after it was shooting I was involved in, and there were some consequences that surrounded the shooting I was in. So it was just kind of it was a time to lay low for me.
Sure.
And so I did that. Well, after laying low for a little while, I was like, that's peaceful, because I'm the type that like somebody would put something on there that said, I can't believe he would do that. There's 5,000 friends on there, and I think they're talking about me. Because just my own anxiety and insecurities that way, and I would literally just walk around worried because somebody said something on social media, and I was like, oh, now this people don't even tell me what's on there, so I'm a little bit in the dark. Every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, did you hear about that? I'm like, well, no.
But that is a method of unplugging, though.
It is.
Because
It's kind of a self-preservation
Yeah.
in a way, because there comes a point social media allows you to misprioritize everything. It allows
Get
you
sucked into it.
to get caught up in things that aren't
That's
priorities,
a good one.
and you don't even know you're doing it, because we're so used to what's in front of us being the issue we got to deal with. Social media ain't that way. Now I know it's the future. I know it's evolved, and I'll have to find a way to address that and communicate better in the future. But my staff does a good job with it. So
See, social media, it's. I want social media because
I used to
just-
love the political debates and all this stuff, and I have strong political and religious views, and I would love the debates and stuff as long as they weren't ugly,
Yeah.
But I would always share something from Prager University or something, and,
Oh yeah.
But that's like you said. I mean, that's one part of it. But the other part is like you said, where you misprioritize the time, because after a while you realize you're on there responding to people for 3 hours.
Right.
That people that you don't even know. I mean, you're
Right.
assuming that's them,
Right.
or they really don't. They have nothing else to do, so they're responding back to you as quickly as you're sending it, and you're just like, oh man, I'm having an actual debate, and to them
And then you're not available.
yeah,
Yeah.
the 3 hours out of the 24.
I would hate that. Like you get in there, like, well, they think, why he back off, or where's he at, or whatever, and you're like, I'm driving down the road, or I'm doing whatever. I can't do that. So the timing of it was always, I always thought was just terrible, because you could be somebody sitting at home with nothing but time.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I was saying. I was just like,
Like,
you're a whole sheriff,
who's
like
got time for that?
yeah. They're running 6 debates over there. You're just like, I'm trying to keep up with one.
I miss knowing, who died and who got married and who had kids, and I miss all that stuff, though.
Yeah.
I do. I miss seeing the memories and stuff pop up.
Yeah.
But
But sometimes if it's that much of a urgent, if
They
it's that
share
important for you to
stuff.
know, people will reach out to you directly. If it was involved in your life
Sure.
like that, like it wouldn't, like I love social media, especially Facebook for like family stuff. But
Right.
at the end of the day, my closest family members
Yeah.
will text or call me.
oh yeah,
Like that's how
and I'll
you
get back on there one day. But right now, it's good. It's a nice way to unplug.
Yeah. I remember I had 2 Twitter accounts, and then soon became X, one personal and one professional, and it just got to the point where I was having weekend-long debates
Yeah.
with people on Twitter or X, and I'm just like,
do you see this trend? How long have you been sheriff now?
4.5 years.
So I see these trends with sheriffs that come in, and every new sheriff that comes in, well, they're going to change everything from the guy before. Like that's kind of all everything. We're going to put our stamp. And you'll find when sheriffs first get in, they're just aggressive. Like they want to get their voice out there. They want to debate this, and then there comes a point where they realize there's way too many issues. There's way too many opinions. There's way too many unknown factors. I can't fight all of these fights. And after a time, you find the sheriff kind of find his niche and find his environment that he needs to do to get the mission accomplished, and leave some of those other things to the side. And I after, this is my 5th term, and man, I don't know what it was like to be new. I was just like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and then I remember just so hoping that I could get that 2nd term, and then just so hoping for that 3rd term, and just the things that you try to get in line to make sure everything's just right, and you just overanalyze, and you really get in all these fights. And then what it really come down to me was, but I enjoyed watching the sheriffs go through all that, and then this thing hits you, and you realize that be there for people to the best of your ability, be accountable, and be straight with them, and want no evil for anybody, want no harm for anybody, and just do your best. And that's what they need. As much as anything, they need a sheriff, but they also just need that guy they can trust.
I'm laughing inside because I was that guy.
Yeah. Oh, were you?
Oh, heck yeah.
There goes Dr. Aiken on here again. I got a doctor's degree. I'm telling you why it's wrong, guys.
Well, they'll describe it as like he's a Facebook warrior. They jump in there and they do that, and after there's just too many you can't fight all those fights.
I got off the Snapchat, Nextdoor, 2 X accounts. And the only thing I have now is my LinkedIn because I do some other stuff professionally. Facebook and Instagram. That's it.
I promise you today, where I'm no longer serving as sheriff, the first thing to go is that cell phone is going in a list. And I won't have one for a while. I'll take a break from even having a cell phone.
Yeah.
That technology does that to you.
It does. It's like a double-edged sword, right? We like it because it provides so much for us in
There's
the
a lot of
form
power
of
there.
information.
A lot of power.
But then at the same time, especially for people in the role of sheriff, it's like that's the opposite. You are constantly on it,
Right.
and that just sucks the life out of you.
Yep.
Because it's never ending.
No,
It's never ending.
No.
Especially in the sheriff's role.
There's always an emergency. There's always something going on.
So recommendation to new sheriffs: don't get stuck in the social media because you can't.
I wouldn't even tell that to them. I wouldn't give them that kind of advice. And what I've learned about sheriffs is all sheriffs are different. Their communities are different. They have to do things different. The good part for them that they'll learn with time is they will understand their community better than just about anybody else will. You'll know all the families, you'll know everybody, you'll know all the... I can't drive... there's a map up behind the camera, 590 square miles there. There's just not a road that I don't have a story or lots of stories to go to, right? So I know the families, I know their parents. I mean, I'm to the point now where I go meet people and I'm just like, I want to know who their parents are, because I know their parents and their grandparents, and we've known each other a long time.
Yeah.
And their stress as sheriff, I don't want to tell them don't be on social media. They may need to do that in their community.
Correct.
Right? That may be their main form of communication. So I wouldn't give them advice on that. But I just would encourage them that with time, they'll weather that storm and
They'll know what works.
I would tell them to enjoy every single moment, the good ones, and be grateful even for the bad ones. I think that's the key to success, is no matter how tragic it is, while you don't want the tragedy, be grateful for whatever you learn through that. Be grateful for any lessons or anything that opportunity to be in that moment, because you never want tragedy or bad stuff to happen, but you do. Those things are pivotal, and it's an honor to be there and just be grateful for that opportunity.
I think it's something that helps make us who we are.
Yeah. If you don't have those trials and you don't go through those tragedies, you're not who you are, and you don't know what you can do. And I feel like I've been tested in a lot of ways, and I was telling somebody the other day, I just simply learned to be grateful for those things. The things that were horrible, that kept you up at night, personally hurt you, and everything else, you just wanted to never show your face again or never be seen, or the tragedy you witnessed was so bad, you see it at night, you got to learn to be at peace, and you got to learn to be grateful for those things and make the best of them.
Yeah, I think those kinds of experiences allows you to build an encyclopedia of sorts to when you're dealing, the experiences.
Makes you very relatable.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Whether it's your employees or people in your community, there's always going to be something that you can pull upon as long as you have those experiences to relate with someone. And once you, is my opinion, once you relate with someone, it changes that relationship.
Belong there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm happy we're at a small break. So what we'll do is take a quick few minutes, give our viewers a chance to see the sponsors and vendors, anybody that's sponsoring, and also give us time to stretch our legs out and move around the room a little bit. That sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, let's take a break.
Founded in 1989, HMN Architects is a well-established firm based out of the Kansas City metro. HMN was formed with the intent of developing a first-tier architectural firm dedicated to the Midwest region, predominantly serving the Kansas and Missouri markets. We provide full architectural, interior design, and planning services. With 8 licensed architects and 6 interior designers, we have a talented staff group that has shared experience in designing jails, courts, sheriff's offices, and other justice-related buildings. HMN Architects offers services at any stage, from facility assessments, space need assessments, cost estimating, and pre-referendum services to construction documents that could be sent to a contractor for pricing. We are ready to tailor our processes to meet your project goals. We also engage with a select group of consultants, such as structural, civil, and MEP engineers on our justice projects. Our shared team experience is important to our efficiency and the quality of our work. HMN Architects is committed to delivering a hands-on experience during all phases of design to help transform space and create a better built environment.
Well, we are back from break.
We made it to a break.
We made it through a break. My son only lost a few M&Ms and some popcorn, but we're all back safe. Will, you said you want to jump it off after the break?
Yeah, knowing a little bit about you and the incident that you briefly just kind of pointed out earlier today, a little while ago, and then during the break, while everyone was stretching their legs and such, I saw the article over there introducing NSA's psychological services section.
Sure.
And you served on that section, so and it mentioned PTSD and critical incidents. How important is it for us to take care of ourselves, mental health and wellness, with everything that we do? Like, what are your thoughts on that? And with your experiences working with national level entities and stuff.
Well, I'll try to answer that question kind of in the way you presented it, which I'll start back with NSA. And when I was president of the Sheriff's Association, went down to New Orleans, and with my undergrad being in psychology, they had a mental health track as one of their trainings. I thought, well, I'll test this out. Well, it was actually a mistake. So what happened was a bunch of sheriffs went in there thinking it was going to be a mental health type class, and then I'm walking in kind of towards the back, they're all leaving. I'm like, huh. But then I noticed there were a few people staying. And so I walk in and I just sit at this table, and there's probably 8, 12 people in there. And I'm like, this isn't what most of our training looks like. And then I notice none of them really look like cops, right? They all look like professionals. And they're like, well, we're gonna do some introductions, and they go around the room and they're all psychologists. This is no joke. This was a total accident. And they get halfway around the room, and I think I'm in there for the mental health track or whatever. What was happening was that group of people, you've heard of, I just lost the name right now, I'll try to come back, but they were starting the mental health track and trying to provide treatment to smaller county sheriffs that don't have access to that kind of stuff. And so I got to be on the ground level of all that on accident. Well, then I introduced myself when they came around me, and of course I'm like, I think I'm in the wrong room, but I'll help you if I can. And they kind of started asking me a bunch of questions, my resume and history and stuff. And by the end of it, they're like, no, we want you on our board. So I helped start the board by accidentally being at the wrong place at the right time, or the right place at the wrong time. And so we did quite a bit of work there for a couple of years. So it was good.
And I think, because I was also looking at some of your credentials for different conferences, you've also been a speaker on the topic,
Sure.
right?
Oh, as needed. Yes, sure. So when, I get to be the fill-in guy on occasion and stuff too, but mental health is loaded. It's such a loaded topic, for lack of a better word. It's so broad, you don't know how to narrowly define it. It becomes kind of a catch-all phrase for everything, and you need to be more specific with individuals to know how to address things. So you have things we all deal with, and things specifically that individuals need to deal with. But we title it under that mental health umbrella, and sometimes I wish we could break it up with different things. but-
Interesting. So if I remember correctly, you were actually one of the speakers for the Missouri Sheriff's Association's conference. It might have been summer conference
Yeah.
back in 18-19 timeframe.
Yeah.
And so I mentioned earlier during the break that I hoped there was an opportunity for me to share with you a story that happened between you and I
Yeah.
that you may not remember. So I remember you presenting, and the presentation was basically your incident, your shooting incident that you got into, and then how, like, everything that happened after it. And
We've been in a few of them, but I know which one you're talking
Yes.
about.
Okay, yeah. So the one that I'm,
Yeah.
yeah, the only one that I'm talking
They're like,
about.
which year? Okay, I'm in the right. Okay, I'm right path.
And I just remember how you kind of took us through the incident, the aftermath, and then where you're at.
Yeah. Right.
And then I was like, man, I really want to talk with this guy, because I was only a captain at the time. I was the emergency management director in Clay County, and the sheriff asked me to go to the conference, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go. And so I remember, knowing that I was going to be running for sheriff in 20, so that's why I can't remember if it was 18 or 19. And you were out in the hallway afterward, and it happened organically where we were able to connect.
Mhm.
And I introduced myself, and you were like, oh, hey, what's going on? And I was like, this is who I am, and I'm thinking about running for sheriff. And you kind of gave me some words of wisdom.
Oh,
So talking.
Oh no, God.
I hope they were right.
So
I hope you found those
it
words
stuck
to be
with
good.
me, and so this was literally 6-7 years ago. So I
Sure.
still remember it to this day, and that's why I was really hoping that I had an opportunity, knowing that we were going to be interviewing you. And you gave me all this, advice, and I was just like, man, that's great. And then there was like this awkward pause, and I remember saying, so how many people do you have in your department? And you were like, department?
Oh yeah.
If you're gonna run for sheriff, you better get it right. And
Yeah.
you just went into my. And I was like, whoa.
Sounds like something I would do. He's not even. He's like,
Yeah.
Afterward, I remember walking away going, really? I felt like that awkward kid that didn't know what else to say. I was like, oh.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah,
No,
every
but
once
it's
in a while
been
go
good.
on a tear on one issue or the other.
Well, no, it was good for me because I never, as a captain, and we kind of talked about this a little while ago, you never understand how much responsibility there is that comes with the office of sheriff. And I remember day one, sitting in the seat, thinking, man, I know, like, I'm good to go. Paul, the former sheriff of Clay County, he really kept me abreast of all the operations and stuff like that. And then day one came, and HR walked into my office and dropped a bunch
Yeah.
of paperwork, lawsuits, and
Yeah. I
investigations.
think I put
and I
on
was
12 for getting elected.
yeah, and I was just like,
Wait,
what?
I wasn't here for any of this.
Yeah, so so since then, I've had so many opportunities to educate people on the difference between a department and an office, to include my commissioners. And now they will talk in a commission meeting, and they'll be like, okay, the sheriff's department. They'll be like, no, sheriff's office, and I'm just
Right.
like, right on, man, right on.
Yeah.
So that's I attribute all of that to
Oh,
you.
wow.
The experience that we had 6-7 years ago.
Thank you for that. I remember meeting you the first time. You present very well and were so very professional. We were back then. Now, I'm just kidding.
Everything's just changed. 20. He done got elected. It's a whole other story now.
I appreciate you sharing that story. The discussion on office versus department is such a big one, and people don't understand. And they don't understand too how your name changes. We talked about it a little bit off camera, but your name kind of goes away. In one way, you look at it and say, well, it goes away. People don't call me Roy very often; they just call me Sheriff. And your name is associated with a title, which is interesting. But the other part too is it just gets so much bigger than your real personhood. The people that love you literally make up heroic stuff or exaggerate the good stuff you do. People that hate you do the exact same thing. They just make it 10 times worse, and you're just sitting here like, I'm just a guy.
Right.
Like just a guy trying to do a job.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me back to, and I love the way you put it. I wish we could break it apart into different pieces of mental health and wellness, because I agree with you.
Yeah.
But self-care. So that's why it's so important for me. And when I get the opportunity to ask other sheriffs, like, how do you unplug or how do you refill your batteries? Because I know when I go to a restaurant and I try to spend time with my wife, either people are walking up, and I've literally had my food go cold and talk
You're
with
trying to
someone
be
the entire
respectful.
time. Yes. But then even when they're not showing up, you always have that piece in the back of your mind that's like, okay, you're scanning the room because you're like, who's in
Yeah.
here? Is anyone, glaring at me? What's their behavior patterns like? And so you can never fully turn it off. My wife asked me one time, and I just posted it on Facebook this morning. She asked me every once in a while, she goes, how far away do you have to go before it's likely that you don't know someone? Well, we were eating at Texas Roadhouse yesterday in Springfield, and Mike and Teresa Parson was in there.
Yeah, there you go.
And I was like, okay, it doesn't matter, right? So no
Anywhere
matter
in the
where
state.
you go, yeah,
exactly.
So
I give that analogy too. The restaurant thing is, to me, serving a sheriff. There's an analogy, I think, going to the restaurant. You go to the restaurant, and you know most everybody there. They're your friends, your loved ones, your community, and you talk to them or whatever. But in the back, they're building you up, and in back, somebody's more than likely spitting in your food or got a warrant, and you got to deal with all of that at once. So.
yeah. And you grew up here, right?
Yeah,
Is that what you
yes, sir.
said? So you
Grew up
grew
in
up in
Rogersville.
Webster. Yeah. And so, your entire life has been spent here. And I've only lived in my county for 12 and a half years. And I know that if I want to spend quality time with my wife, I have to go to another county.
Right.
And hope nobody knows me there.
Right.
So, bringing it back to refilling your batteries and stuff, where do you go to like where you can just kind of relax and
Well, like I said, to answer that specific question is basically just being at home and tinkering around the place. But I think it needs to be mentioned too how when I was talking about how broad mental health has become, we use it as a catch-all, and I worry too about people that need spiritual health and they're trying to replace it with mental health. And I think there's a big religious or spiritual element that we don't address sometimes because we only talk specifically about mental health. We're kind of afraid in big groups to talk about spiritual stuff or religious stuff, and so a lot of that I think gets neglected, and it's a core part of all of us that needs to be addressed.
Oh man, you're absolutely right. So I break it down into 4 categories, and there might be more, but these are the 4 that are important to me: financial health,
Right.
spiritual health, in no
Right.
particular order, mental health, and physical health.
Right.
Those are like the 4
Those are the main ones,
pillars.
Those are the pillars, yeah.
And I feel like, if we're able to address those 4 areas, I mean, it's not going to make everything perfect, but at least you can be the best version of yourself possible. And, and like you, I find it hard, to exercise those for me, but I'm always pushing it
Right.
on my employees and friends and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And it's like, thankfully nobody ever asked me. Well, they're like, well, hey, so what do you do to unwind? And it's
Right.
like, well, I'm the worst person to ask because I just quite haven't figured it out yet.
Right.
So I mean, let's dive into that a little bit. What would you say is the difference between like the spiritual health and the mental health? Because reason I ask that is because there's one organization like I work with, and we speak throughout the state of Virginia, and we speak on different pillars. Each of us have a pillar we speak on. So it's not a topic that can't be addressed. It's just sometimes we're worried about it. So
Right.
what would you say from your perspective on this spiritual side versus the mental health side? Like, how do you make a difference?
Oh.
How do you differ? How does that
Well,
look different to you?
How are they different?
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of times we have spiritual or religious answers that we know are there, and a lot of times we're afraid to talk to them or talk about them, especially in large groups. And so I can't give you a good example right now, but there are fundamental principles that maybe we grew up with or we were taught, or some people maybe weren't taught, that when those things are addressed, there's consequences. And a lot of times we try to band-aid it on the backside. I think a lot of times we treat God as an emergency room instead of preventive medicine. And I think whether it's your religious stuff or mental health stuff, you need to be proactive about it early. So I can't make a real good distinction for you right now. If you were talking about specific situations, then I could probably give you a better
Yeah, but I think you hit the ball out of the park when you said that we treat God as an emergency
Right.
room situation, whereas
Everybody's praying,
it should be
scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I say because sometimes I don't disagree. I think there's sometimes too much of a blend.
Mm-hmm.
They try to make both of them synonymous,
Right.
and it's like, well, no, it's 2 different avenues. It's 2 different things that you do,
Yeah.
and I think it's easy to put them together because people don't know the
Right.
difference. But no, I agree. So let's say for example, something we've talked about a few times: officer involved shooting. So from a sheriff's perspective, I guess how would you approach the spiritual side or the mental health side of it? Like how would you do something like that? Like, is it? Because obviously you said
Well,
you've been in
the
shooting.
mental health side, you talk about peer-to-peer support. You make sure that they have a counselor. You make sure they understand the process, right? On the religious side, it's about knowing there's a bigger cause, knowing there's a purpose, knowing that you're personally accountable, knowing the values that come with that religious side of support. To me, mental health is a behavioral science. And I'm of the opinion that all sciences are trying to catch up with God, right? A lot of people look at it like, this science proves this and proves this. All science proves God. All science proves the existence of God. Mental health is the same way. It's simply one attribute of a much bigger picture. So I just try to make sure we always keep the bigger picture in mind.
Yeah, and that's I know I have experience working in the federal prison. That's one of the things we try to highlight with inmates. It's like, hey, make sure your spiritual health. I mean, whoever your higher calling is, because when they do say they have a higher calling, usually they have more hope and they have more things to look forward to. Yeah. And not saying that they have to be a specific religion, but if you're looking at something that's a higher calling, something that you may not be able to see or feel directly, that there's more out there.
Right.
Sometimes that just gives you more hope, and that's part of how to overcome some of these bad days that we go through.
The officer involved shooting thing is always very complicated because the details always matter. And I remember we had a officer involved shooting. We investigated a local agency for a shooting they were in, and it was challenging because my nature is to want to reach out and comfort and whatever, but you had to do the investigative professional side, so I couldn't do that, and that was just a terrible feeling. So I was kind of hoping some of the other guys were doing the peer-to-peer support, because I wasn't his boss, it wasn't my wasn't ours, but that isolation you feel once you've been involved in some of those shootings, and there's a professional process that goes through, but you kind of have to lean back on your faith, because you're in your mind, you're like, I did something heroic, or I'm going to prison. Regardless of how clear cut it was, you still have those insecurities that creep in, and they dictate your behavior. So you got to weather all that storm, and I just don't know how you do a lot of that without faith.
Yeah, and I know it's always interesting. It's a hard topic, but not really, because a lot of things we do in law enforcement revolves around prayers. We always pray before we eat. We always have a chaplain. We always do it. But then it's like when someone talks about it, that's not a chaplain. They're like, I don't know if we want to touch it. I was like, well, we're already touching it. Yeah. Like we especially growing up. I mean, we used to do prayers all the time in different avenues. So I think law enforcement, is as important. Obviously, the higher you go, the more you should have some type of higher calling on the spiritual side of it. That spiritual side is just something that it's.
And that's something that we don't push on our employees, and I don't think we do either. But it's like I've had a number of employees ask me, how did you get through the situations that you've been in? Like where were you at? Like who did you go to? And the first thing that comes out of my mouth is, man, I had my faith. Right? I mean, because no matter how that's going to play out, I know that I did the right thing at that
There's
time.
A comfort there.
Yes, in my
great
mind.
comfort.
Yeah, and then everything else kind of follows, but it's also because I just knew I had hope, right? And then I knew professionally that people were going to take care of it, and I didn't have to worry about it. And so when I share that with them, it's actually opened up the door to other conversations. Where I had a conversation with a young man, and he's great at his job. I mean, there was no question about he was going to go somewhere one of these days, whether it be a police chief or a sheriff. And then things were happening, and I pulled him aside and I said, "What's going on? Like, how are you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing fine, but work." And I go, "No. Let me rephrase the question." I said, "How are you doing at home? How are you leading at home?"
Right.
And then you could just see
Yeah.
because he knew, but he was trying to avoid.
Yeah.
The leadership at work is one thing, but you still have to have leadership at home.
Right.
And it led us into the conversation of church and God and religion. And I'm a man of faith, and I've got a lot of stories, especially when I was overseas, on how my faith got me through certain situations.
Right.
But it was always because I knew it was always there. I didn't have to be in an ambush situation where I all of a sudden go, "God, please help me get through this, and I'll do whatever you need me." No, it was always there. Right. And but I really enjoy those conversations when the door's open.
Yeah, I do too. You don't ever want to miss them. You're right. There is no pushing it. There's no. You try to have minimal influence that type of way, but you want them to know where the true comfort is. So.
And I think, so mental health and wellness, I think there's a lot, crammed into
It
one
is.
title, right?
It is, yeah.
It's almost like, in I don't even know what else to call it, but it should be health and wellness. And then mental should be a subcategory along with spiritual, financial, and physical.
Right. You made me think when you're talking about that financial thing. Like I've been trying to actually get financial wellness classes here in the county for the guys and their wives because, like say, it doesn't matter if you're broke, you're looking for a job with more money.
Mm-hmm.
If you know how to live on the money you have and plan and save and grow, you're going to be a lot more content.
Yeah.
You have to address that.
Yeah, if you don't have that financial stability,
Yeah.
then your life is
And when
chaos
you're
because you have
chasing
bills.
credit card interest.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
It's a lot of pressure.
Especially new deputies, new officers,
Yeah.
new anyone in any profession. I mean, I think back of when I was in the military, and you get the brand new privates in, and they have no responsibility, so they go out and they just blow their
I've heard
checks,
about that.
what little bit they got, and next thing you know, they've got a $50,000 vehicle with a 24% interest rate, and it's just like, wait, what did you do? Well, thankfully, the military has changed since then, and you actually have to get permission from your chain of command or something like that. But
Really?
yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, because it,
Oh, yeah,
it
they're-
put people
they-
in financial straits.
And then they get into financial straits and do other things.
Yes.
While enlisted or
Yeah.
under the guidance of the.
And so, I
military.
kind of think about that
Mhm.
with new deputies.
Mhm.
And, and fortunately, so I try to tell deputies when you get a pay increase, like, what are you going to do with that extra money?
Right.
Right? Are you saving it, or are you now going
Is
to
there a plan?
Yeah, because you're just going to find yourself chasing that dollar,
Right.
buying the boats and the
Right.
cars and all that stuff. So that's why we implemented that financial planning, because it's like, hey, just go and talk.
So you're already doing that.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah. So we actually have an employee who's a certified financial planner through Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the county, so we started with Smart Dollar, and then the county was like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea, and they picked it up for all county employees.
Really?
Yes.
Great.
And so at least we have that. Now I will say I would love to say that we have at least an 80-90% participation rate, but it's more like 15 to 20.
Yeah. It's better than zero.
You got 25.
Yeah, so at least we have a handful of people that are participating in it,
Right.
and it's there. So I'm glad you're looking into that.
Yeah,
That's
that's,
right.
yeah, but it's the cool part about it. If you get it to work, any of the health and wellness that we're talking about, it does make a difference
Yeah.
in the culture of your office. Especially, I'm not gonna say department. I know better. So
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I've learned. I've learned too.
You open that door.
Yeah, but no, that's what I'm saying. It's about offering these resources to our employees. You know what I mean? Like giving them something, because they give it to ourselves too. Because at the end of the day, it's everybody needs it. None of us cannot go without our spiritual health. None of us go without our mental. None of us can go without our physical or our financial. Like it's all part of the pillars of leaders that we are. So it's just interesting to see. So for you guys, how have you seen the culture change in the last 17 years as far as like the workforce generations? Like how are you seeing and I meant to ask it earlier, but it went to the back of my brain, but I was thinking about like mental wellness, something. I was like, how has generations been changing here?
You've been sheriff for 17
Yeah.
years. You've seen a lot.
Yeah. So in 20 with the county total doing the juvenile officer stuff
Yeah.
too. Man, that's such a loaded question. They change with the time. I mean, politically is one thing that's really changed. We went from being pretty politically correct. We were a very kind of 50-50 county in terms of, Republican, Democrat, stuff like that. We've turned into more like one of the most Republican counties there are. And political correctness has kind of been thrown out the window, So, I mean, that was interesting because I got elected during a time of kind of the peak of political correctness. And so that's kind of been a refreshing change. But, in terms of culture itself, it's hard to speak specifically for our county. Our county is very unique. We have anywhere from a large Amish population. We have some very wealthy areas of the county. We have some pretty poor. I mean, we have everything. I mean, we're 8 minutes from Springfield, or we're 45 minutes from Springfield. So I mean, our county is very diverse, just in terms of different type of lifestyles. The culture itself, I want to look towards, you know, my deputies when I say that, or my staff. It's like the things that they used to do then. Man, it was like Facebook was the only social media. Now they got tons of them, right?
Yeah.
And we used to write letters out to the public. You know, that's just pretty rare anymore. So I don't know. Culture has changed a lot.
Well, I think over the course
trying
of the
to think of a
17
good
years.
example.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, so you've hired probably, you know, in the beginning of your time as sheriff, you might have hired baby boomers, but you definitely hired Gen Xers, millennials, post-millennials. Like, what does that look
Yeah,
like?
well, it's different, and you know, we have, you know, seen people towards the end of the career. The challenges you have there are very different. There's insecurities that take over people that are getting ready to retire. They think you're running them out, or they think that they're, you know, they're washed up, they're no good anymore. And you don't feel that way, but they feel that way, and they kind of press that onto them and get kind of isolated. And so you really want to address those issues so they don't feel that way. And then the young guys have their, you know, their issues where if you're not careful, your guy goes and works a call, and then he's sitting for 2 hours on his cell phone, you know, talking to so-and-so, and it's like, those are just things you didn't have to deal with so much in the old days, and now it's kind of like no matter where they're at, they're plugged in somewhere else, and so you have to address, well, it looks like they're out in the county doing this and that, but really they're just sitting there on their cell phone or playing a game or something.
They're doing a lot of observation on that road today.
We didn't have computers in our cars when I got elected.
Yeah.
Those were things we didn't have to worry about, so I don't know, it's changed a lot that way.
Especially with technology, right? You didn't have computers in your cars. Now we have computers in our cars, and mobile devices and tablets and whatever else that they're going to have in there, and you know, trying to like, I think back over the course of the last 23 years that I've been in law enforcement, the changes that has happened, and it's like, and this is just the beginning. Like, I feel like I have another 7 to 10 years left in me.
Yeah.
Well, how much more is it going to change?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, no, it's gonna change.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
because you got a whole other workforce on standby.
Yeah.
The whole Generation Alpha
Yeah.
just ready to roll in.
Generation.
Generation Z's coming in. Our millennials are there. Baby boomers are pretty much out. I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely it's gonna be a different mixture. So, if someone's looking to find you, what are some great avenues for them to find you?
It wouldn't be hard to find, but I guess you know, just call me up at the office, 417-859-2247, or actually 2653 goes directly to my desk, 859-2653, and get a lot of calls that way. Everything just come up. I mean, talk to my staff, and they'll get on the calendar. We'll sit and have a face to face because that door's open, and want to be able to get a hold and reach me. So.
Is it something like when you guys get sworn in, you have to like learn your office number like exactly? Because there's been a few sheriffs that have said their number exactly when I said that, and I'm like, man, that's pretty accurate. Like that office number, like they give that number off like the.
Mine's my name, so mine's 417-859-COLD.
Oh, that's cool.
So I was like,
that's
I
cool.
can actually remember that.
That's actually pretty cool. I like that.
Of course, we have our website and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which I don't think I've been on in 5 years, but.
It looks good. I looked at it on the way here. It's pretty solid.
I haven't looked at it.
It
so-
has your face on it, so you're good.
Oh,
Yeah.
it depends on where I was in my weight journey. So, you know, was it the 300-pound me, or was it like the 230-pound me? Which one?
Look, it might have been a 230 pound. It didn't like the 300 pound. No, it didn't look 300 pound in that photo. But,
I think it was I saw a picture of you somewhere on your wall, and I was like, is that Roy?
Yeah.
I was like,
I
man.
definitely Googled it and put it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'd have to look at it online again to make sense of it. But yeah, so any final words?
No, I don't know. I love serving, and it's an honor to serve, and I love this job. It's just something I want to be allowed to do, and I don't know. I'm just very appreciative of the people in my county that have looked out, you know, and helped me along the way. And you know, I don't know if I can help. Call me because I want to help. So I don't know. There's so many other topics, but
No, there's always more to talk about. We'll get around to those later.
Yeah.
Not on this show, but later on. Now, don't worry. This won't be just one round. Trust me. Don't think about it. Well, what you got?
Oh, I just want to thank you for your time, Roy. I know, all sheriffs are busy. I mean, if you're not busy,
Sure.
you're doing it wrong.
Sure.
And I also want to point out the fact that you're actually here meeting with us, helping us on a holiday. So you actually came to the office when you're supposed to be off, to meet with us and to do this show. I mean, obviously, if it wasn't important to us, we wouldn't be doing this.
I appreciate
and
it.
for you
It's
to
building
to
up
meet
the
us.
sheriff's office, so
Yeah,
people understand
absolutely.
a little bit more about it.
Absolutely. So thank you
If I
for your
can help in
time.
the future, please let me know.
Oh no, don't worry, you will. Don't worry. I've always come up with crazy ideas. You don't have to. You better tell what. You don't ask me what can you do later, because I will come up with some creative idea that doesn't make sense to even me, and I'll say, well, he said he was going to do it, so if he said he's in, I'm in. But no, we do appreciate it because we know we did take a lot of time out of your day, and we know this is a holiday, and we do this because we truly believe in the Sheriff's Office, Sheriff's Association, MSA. They really wanted to highlight what you all are doing. So they have a lot of things going on, so they can't be everywhere. So they found Will and I. They said, "Hey, can you go meet people where they're at?" And we're like,
Oh,
"Of
that's
course."
awesome.
Yeah, because this is your area.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, of course we can say, "Well, meet us in Jeff City or meet us at one of the conferences," but we try to get out to people because this is your house and we want to highlight what you're doing. People in the community.
Whole state.
Yeah, and the whole state. And trust me, we met somebody earlier in Platte County. He already watched his sheriff's podcast that we did with Eric Holland.
We followed him over here because he was picking up an inmate for Platte County.
Oh no way!
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And he was like, he knew what he was like. Oh yeah, you were the other guy that was hosting with the sheriff. So
Wow.
the staff will watch it. Now, I mean, I don't know the guy, but Will knew him. He was
Yeah.
like, nah, I saw the podcast, and yeah. So people want to see what you all are doing. So our one of our ways to serve is to get you all highlighted. Because you guys you two are doing much more heavy lifting as sheriffs, but as a podcast host, as someone that likes to speak and talk about different things, this is my way to give back as well. So I can make sure that
Thank
you guys are able to be seen at all levels.
Thank you.
So appreciate your time. Appreciate the viewers, obviously. Hopefully when people stick around at the end of the show, they get to see some of the sponsors, MSA and stuff like that. But thank you guys. Appreciate what you guys are doing. And we'll call it a wrap for the day.
That's it.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Founded in 1989, HMN Architects is a well-established firm based out of the Kansas City metro. HMN was formed with the intent of developing a first-tier architectural firm dedicated to the Midwest region, predominantly serving the Kansas and Missouri markets. We provide full architectural, interior design, and planning services. With 8 licensed architects and 6 interior designers, we have a talented staff group that has shared experience in designing jails, courts, sheriff's offices, and other justice-related buildings. HMN Architects offers services at any stage, from facility assessments, space need assessments, cost estimating, and pre-referendum services to construction documents that can be sent to a contractor for pricing. We are ready to tailor our processes to meet your project goals. We also engage with a select group of consultants, such as structural, civil, and MEP engineers on our justice projects. Our shared team experience is important to our efficiency and the quality of our work. HMN Architects is committed to delivering a hands-on experience during all phases of design to help transform space and create a better built environment.